Thank
Yes.
you very much for doing this, having this little chat about the environment and energy and renewables and what's not. So, as you know, or as I would have mentioned to you, World FM Day is today, and our theme for Facility Management Day is celebrating our environment. So I saw it prudent to have a discussion with somebody who is in the energy sector, to talk about things that we as FMs can do and should be doing, and then also, to leave one or two nuggets for the average homeowner or small business owner of things that they can do or a part that they can play in the whole environment and protecting the environment and that kind of stuff. So I just wanted you to tell us a bit about yourself. How long have you been in the energy sector?
Okay, so my name is Antonio Seeley. Thank you very much for having me. So I am a systems engineer and I work at Barbados Light and Power. I have been there for the last 3.5 years, and I work in the business solutions section. So customer solutions and a lot of behind the meter activity. I would also like to say that I am a self-proclaimed advocate for clean energy.
Nice.
And also an advocate for electric transportation. So that's kind of my background.
Okay, so let's just backtrack there a bit. When you say clean energy, what do you mean exactly?
Right, so I'm talking about renewable energy, energy efficiency, being sustainable in how you consume the world's resources. That's what I mean by clean energy.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you know about facility management, but I think you know enough to be able to give us some insight into the next question. Do you think facility managers play a role in protecting the environment? And if you do, how do you see their role?
Okay, so from my understanding, I would say that facilities managers definitely play a role in protecting the environment, and for multiple reasons, yes, can celebrate on that one, but for multiple reasons. So I know facilities managers are responsible for not only the property, and I know in some earlier discussion we would have discussed that you also have a responsibility for the occupants and how they operate and making it good for them. So where the responsibility will come in will be all around being efficient and optimal in how the consumption of resources are for that facility. So for example, how you consume electricity, water, and also things like disposal and waste, that kind of stuff. So from the perspective of energy, I think that the facilities manager has a responsibility to ensure that the building is using energy in an efficient way while also still maintaining the comforts for everyone within the building and that kind of stuff. So for example, you ought to look at things like energy efficiency and that kind of stuff.
So I actually like that you stressed on energy efficiency, because this is a bit of a debate that I tend to have with persons where it's not that I'm not anti looking at renewables and that kind of stuff, but you need to look at how you are consuming energy first before you then go and bring in something to help reduce your consumption from, the other raw sources. So that's something that I try to advocate for and tell persons, all right, yeah, you could go and jump and put in PVs, photovoltaic, solar panels, but is there anything that you can do without even spending a cent to reduce your electricity bill? And most persons look at me like, I don't know. So looking at the type of equipment you have in your facility, looking at the type of equipment you use in your building, looking at how long you have it running, looking at if you are running it and you don't even need to. Take for example, know that we know that things are starting to ramp back up, but we would have been closed for 5 to 6 weeks. Some businesses are still closed. I don't know how many persons actually like unplugged some of the large pieces of equipment that they have in their facility that is not critical for them to keep plugged in during that time. So yeah, I like that you talked about energy efficiency, and to me, the start is like doing a little audit on the facility itself, on the business and what you are consuming. I don't know if you want to add anything there or give any tips as to how you could actually go about doing that for like a small business, a hairdresser, a salon, a gym, somebody operating a gym, or a little bakery, a bread shop.
Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head, and I tend to agree with you 100% there. So even when you're looking at renewable energy, when you get to the point where you're saying that you want to make that investment in renewable energy, I think it is futile to go that route without actually looking at the consumption side. So I agree with that. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of what we call phantom loads that are in the home. So equipment that when it's standby is consuming a lot of power and different things like that. So if you have a business, a small business,
so I just wanted to ease up there a minute. You just said something phantom load. So if you could, you said just break it down a little bit more for me there. What do you mean by that?
Right. So for example, like your television, that may not be a huge load in your home, but if you notice your television, even when it's off, sometimes a light may be on the equipment, and that is what we would call a phantom load. So that is constantly drawing power. And then in some commercial environments, there are similar types of equipment that do the same thing. While they are off and not directly being used at that moment, just by the mere fact of being plugged in, they are consuming energy. So you could look out for things like that. I know you mentioned the energy audits, and this is particularly good and interesting because a lot of people don't know that there are incentives in place for doing energy audits, both at the residential and at the commercial level.
Really?
So, for example, right now for your corporate tax, you can write off up to 150% of the interest paid on loans for energy efficiency, renewable energy, energy audits, any upgrades to your facility that is related to making it more efficient and that kind of stuff. So I can send you a link to the Ministry of Energy's incentive booklet, so you can have a look in there. And it's also available at the individual level. So if you look at your personal income tax, there's a section now where there's investment in renewable energy or energy efficiency or energy audits, and you can actually expense some of that and write it off on your individual income tax as well. So what I'm saying that to say is that that is a direct incentive for you to go ahead and take that first step, because I think what the ministry observed is that that is a key part. Energy efficiency, energy audits are a key part of this whole renewable energy transition, because if we're going to achieve these big renewable goals, we have to be efficient in how we use energy, because we're now transitioning to intermittent, renewable, and that kind of stuff. So very important. I think you hit the nail on the head. An energy audit can actually save you a lot of money.
As a homeowner or even a small business owner, if I am going out there to purchase a piece of equipment, as opposed to just picking up the cheapest, picking up what will do the job for me for the best buck, what type of features I should be looking for in this piece of equipment, or so that in the long run I know that this is not going to be drawing a whole set of power and that kind of stuff and driving up my light bill.
Yeah, so a lot of people actually have done this work for you already. It's just a case of just being observant. So if you go to the store, you go to Quartz or Massey, you can look up for what we call Energy Star rated appliances.
Okay.
So those are appliances that we would say have been approved by a standards body to be as efficient as possible and that kind of stuff. So it's right there, and they even have like a indication of the energy consumption that it might use over time. And I know we're very sensitive to purchase price in this part of the world, I guess all over, but just doing that quick math to see, okay, yes, I might pay a couple $100s more to buy this more efficient piece of equipment. I might save that within the first year or two of owning it, especially for something like a refrigerator, which is constantly on. You could get back that difference that you pay up front in the energy savings. And that's something that I guess we would need to do a better job of educating people on, because I know we say a lot on the upfront costs, but there's a lot of benefits to spending that little more upfront and saving over a longer period of time in your energy costs.
Okay. So as a small business owner, I have just done an upgrade at my facility, and I realized my light bill has jumped. Even though I have not really consumed more in terms of the kilowatt hours, in terms of electricity, but I realized this thing called KVA has gone from, say, 2 to 5. So even though I'm not really consuming that much more electricity from my previous smaller state, to know that I've expanded, I realize my KVA has gone up. What is that? And is there anything that I can do to reduce that so that I can get my bill back down?
Yeah, so basically what that is a charge for having that capacity available to you. So for example, it works different at different utilities, but in Barbados, for example, it is based on the maximum instantaneous power you consume within a month, a period of a month. So that instant moment that you consume the most energy, when you have the most appliances on at the same time, you'll be charged for that demand, as we call it.
Okay.
So that is really a cost for the utility, having that capacity available to you so that you can draw on it whenever. And that is one of what we would call one of the hidden costs, or the hidden costs in providing energy to customers. So typically, people don't really look out for that, or they don't really understand it well enough. But that is really equipment being on at the same time. So one way that you could save and reduce that is basically not allowing all your equipment to come on at the same time if it doesn't need to be. So obviously in some operations, just because of the sheer nature of the operation, all the equipment, or a lot of equipment, needs to be on at the same time. But if that is not necessary, you have the chance to shift some of that demand and basically consume the energy at another time, so that it doesn't cause that big spike or whatever in your energy consumption. So that is a cost that a lot of people could shift if they thought about it and look at their operations. They may be able to reduce that by just timing of how you consume the energy.
Okay, so like for example, just want to make sure I understand you. As opposed to turning on everything at 6, I might turn on something at 7 and then something else at 10 o'clock. Would that make a difference?
Well, it depends on if the thing that you put on earlier is still on.
Still on. Okay.
Still on. But for example, if you have an operation, let's say, where you have an oven on, you need to bake something, but you don't need to mix something at that same time. You can bake at one time and then you can mix at a different time instead of baking and mixing simultaneously. That's just one scenario.
Okay.
But some people may have that flexibility to shift parts of their operation to different times to allow that oven and that mixer being on simultaneously, having the large demand. But everyone may not have that luxury to shift their operations, but that would be one way you could do it if you had the flexibility to.
Okay, understood. Are there any other tips you would suggest for like homeowners when it comes to managing the energy within their home?
Right. So I guess, yes, I have a couple tips. So for example, this is similar to the conversation that we had earlier with respect to purchasing new equipment. At the same time, old equipment could be a challenge for you too. So for example, we see a lot of persons saying, well, I have this refrigerator. They say working good for me for the last 20 years, just calling a number. But what they're not realizing is that the technology has improved significantly over that time. And the price that they may be paying on a monthly basis to keep that old refrigerator, which is working inefficiently, going, you could probably buy a new one every other month based on the difference in the cost. So a lot of the older equipment, as it's age and become less efficient is drawing more power to do the same job. And sometimes there may be an opportunity for you to shift out that old refrigerator, get a newer one, and get savings over time. And then also the simple things, if you have the old lights, you can switch out to LED. That may be a simple opportunity. And just, that's some of the tips I would have for a homeowner.
Okay. Anything else you want to share with us with regards to resources and clean energy? I remember in one of our previous conversations, you would have mentioned about having a net zero building. You want to shed some light on that for us?
Yeah. So basically, the net zero energy building is the concept that all of the energy being consumed in that building, the building is also producing more or equal to that amount of energy that's being consumed. And there are various projects that people are doing where they're trying to achieve this. So obviously it includes having on-site generation, some form of renewable energy on-site, but it also involves energy efficiency and to the next level, energy management. So there's smart technology that people have installed in the buildings now where, for example, as people, occupancy sensors, that's a huge one. As people leave a room, shutting off the lights automatically, so you don't leave it to human intervention. So you take over control and you make sure, well, this room is no longer occupied. We can turn off the lights and we could throttle down the AC a little bit, even if you don't turn it entirely off, so that you can reduce the amount of energy. So that combination of intelligence in the building, along with installation of renewable energy, now gives the effect that that building itself is producing more energy than it's consuming. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be off-grid. So that's another question that people come to. If I have a net zero energy building, does that mean I'm off-grid? It doesn't mean that you're off-grid. You can consume energy from the grid, but then you're also producing enough energy to offset what you have used. Because, for example, most of the renewable sources are useful in the daytime. So, for example, solar. But your building may be consuming energy at night. So that shift in time may not allow you to be completely off-grid unless you make an additional investment in battery storage. So what you can do is have the intelligence and the renewable energy working in conjunction to achieve the net zero energy effect.
Okay.
But another tip that I just thought of, like talking about the net zero energy building, is the whole concept of energy monitoring within the building. So understanding where the energy is being consumed. So it's okay to get your light bill at the end of the month, but if you don't understand how the energy is being used within the building, you can't identify the key areas where you may have an opportunity to save. So you can do it in two ways. You could invest in an energy management system where you install monitoring equipment at different distribution panels within the building, or you could just do an audit where it's more temporary. So you go and install the monitoring equipment for a period of time just to identify where the energy is, or you can have a continuous system that is constantly monitoring it, and you can go and see reports online and that kind of stuff. So it depends on your operation. If it's an operation where the usage doesn't change much and you just want to identify upfront where are my energy hogs, you may opt for a temporary solution where you get an audit. If your energy changes a lot based on your operation, you may want to have a continuous system monitoring it so you can make the adjustments more real time and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So I actually want to put you on the spot now. So do you think where Barbados is going right now and, the mandate for 100% renewables by 2030, do you think we are moving towards seeing such a facility existing in Barbados, or does a facility such as a net zero building exist in Barbados currently?
Well, so that is a very good question. So I would say there are pilots where people are trying to do it. So there's a project, for example, where the Ministry of Energy, in conjunction with a provider from Korea, and I think it's funded by the Inter-American Development Bank, they're looking at trying to achieve something like this for a few government buildings. And I think one building at the University of the West Indies would be one where they're trying to do it. So they're in the process of now acquiring data. So they would have installed some of these devices that I mentioned to you, monitoring to understand how energy is used within the building on a regular basis. And then now they would be able to see what is the opportunity. So if I install this size battery, I could shift some of this load, and I might be able to charge the battery using the grid and the solar system, and then I might be able to shift some of the load to different times to have that effect of netting off the consumption. But I would say it is a very large undertaking. It's not that easy, but the premise is still good. So even if you don't achieve the actual net zero effect, just reducing your consumption that much by installing the intelligence would be a huge benefit.
Okay, nice. Earlier up, I like the fact that you spoke about in terms of the role facility managers play in protecting the environment. You also mentioned waste management, and I can tell you for a fact that that is something that we pay close attention to, especially when it comes to some of the cleaning products that we would use. We would assess them for environmentally friendly products that keep the good bacteria and address the bad bacteria. However, as you would know, with what we're currently dealing with COVID, is a little difficult around this time because we need to use products that can kill the virus. And straight off the bat, things like bleach, chlorine and stuff, those work really well, but not the best in terms of the environment. So there's several other products that persons are working on to get into Barbados that would keep the good bacteria, but address the viruses and that kind of stuff. So as facility managers, we're definitely looking forward to those products reaching our shores. So generally, just want to say thanks again. The discussion was very enlightening, and I'm sure we're going to have several more going forward to talk about different things, to talk about the vehicles and that kind of stuff. But I think we definitely had several takeaways from this brief discussion. So thank you again.